Hi City Church, and welcome to another edition of Bite-Sized, like a summary of what we talked about on Sunday. We continued our series on Sunday in the book of Acts, our study that we're doing called To the Ends of the Earth. And we've been looking at the story of Ananias and Sapphira. A familiar story, yet not much spoken about. And we tried to unpack the theme of what that story was all about. Up to that point, the church was growing so well, and the Holy Spirit was empowering the people to really transform the communities around them, and people were added daily, and there were signs and wonders. And then this kind of strange story in Acts 5 of this couple that were keeping some of the money to themselves and lying to the apostles. And as many of you know, it had very very disastrous consequences for both of them. And so the theme that we looked at on Sunday was the whole theme of integrity. I tried to unpack on Sunday what it looks like to be a person of integrity and to continue to live your life as a person of integrity. And so I had 3 points, and the first one was that in order to say a person of integrity, you have to know your weaknesses. We are all humans and we all struggle with different issues. Some of us might struggle with money or sexual temptation or maybe power or addictions. We all have areas where actually we are weak. And so I think it's important, as we talk about integrity, to be aware of them. Because one of the definitions of integrity is that we are the same person inside and outside. In other words, the same person in public and in private. God sees everything. We can't hide from Him. And so it's important, as we live our Christian faith, to be authentic about maybe some of the areas that we struggle with, and maybe to invite people in to come alongside us, to have some kind of accountability going on, and ultimately to speak to God about those areas and to allow Him to really engage in these hard issues, so that we are the same person on the inside and outside, and we don't live with like a mask or a pretend face. So it's really important, I think, to be aware of your weaknesses. The second point was to pursue spiritual growth. I think it's really important to keep that close connection to God. David in his Psalm 139 says, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and see if there's any offensive way." He had this routine of allowing God and the Holy Spirit to highlight areas in his life where God could really speak into. And so it's really important to kind of stay connected to God and to keep that personal time with Him. I think there's no real substitute for kind of a one-to-one meeting daily with God. And whether it's in the car or at home, it's really important, I think, to make that time. And I heard someone say once that actually this kind of devotional time or quiet time or chair time, whatever you want to call it, actually keeps away the natural flow of sin in your life. And I thought that was such a profound statement, because as we look at our weaknesses, if we don't stay connected to God, actually we're much more easily tempted in different areas. And the reason why I think that's true is because the times when I was most frustrated about people, where comments people made really bugged me the most, were times where actually my devotional time, my time where I tried to seek God on my own, was very little, and I didn't actually make it a priority in my life. Because it's about focus, being focused on God and focus on Jesus in your own life. And so that's why it's so important to pursue spiritual growth. And then lastly, we reminded ourselves of the fact that we are in a battle. Remember the battle, we called it. Actually, if Satan can't conquer the church, he will seek to corrupt the church. And so we have to be aware that we don't compromise our integrity by maybe giving way of forgetting that actually we're in a battle. And Satan is described as a deceiver, the father of lies. He's trying to come in, and this story in Acts 5 I think was a real threat to the unity of this very young infant, fragile young early church. And so maybe that's why the consequences were so severe. So I think it's really important to remember that we are not fighting against flesh and blood, but against someone who's in the spiritual realm, trying to come in even into our churches, into our families, to bring deception and to really split what maybe God has put together. So it was quite an intense topic to talk about, but I thought it was really relevant because of the stories and the people that I encounter and hear. So I think it's a really good reminder that actually, as people of God, we need to be people of integrity. So maybe even this week you can think in different situations that maybe you encounter is this the right way? Is this the way maybe that God would do it? And so you can invite Him in and ask Him, Lord, what's the right way in this situation? What's the right decision? You can ask Him. He will lead you by His Holy Spirit. So I just encourage you to maybe, even this week, as you face different situations, to allow God to make you a person of integrity, that you're the same on the inside and out. And Jesus is there to help us. He cares enough to get involved in our weaknesses, in areas where we struggle with. So why don't you make time even this week to set a time, maybe a few minutes every day, to realign your heart, to pray or to write as David wrote in his psalm, search me, O God. Search me, O God, and know my anxious thoughts. Test me and see if there's any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. What a great kind of prayer to maybe start your day with this week. God bless you.